Brain. Remember that cartoon?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Man, I had.
What are we doing today, Brain?
That,
What's that?
when was that?
Oh my God, that was the Animaniacs. That was probably college, 93, 94-ish.
No, yeah, early 90s. I was thinking it was late 80s.
Yep.
Man,
yep.
oh man.
Pinky and the Brain. What are we doing tonight, Brain? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. So hey, before we jump into things, I know you're like a sponge for information, right? I mean, you like dealing with the psychology of stuff.
I love it. Yeah.
I read something this week that I want to share with you.
Great.
Do you know what the word leaning means in relationship to conversation?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. I'm going to read you the definition as it's been read to me. This is really powerful. It opened my eyes up. What's that?
Spell it for me.
Leaning, as like you're leaning on a table.
Leaning. Okay.
You got it.
So
lean.
Got it. Okay.
Now you just made it feel like a spelling bee. Can you please put that into a sentence?
I need context.
Right. I'll phone a friend. Leaning. Leaning is when you communicate with behavior and language as if you are lacking something in your life and your business, and you expect others to give you what you need so that you feel better about yourself and your business. Say it again. Leaning is when you communicate with behavior and language as if you are lacking something in your life and in your business, and you expect others to give you what you need so that you can feel better about yourself and your business.
I totally understand that. Although I didn't know that there was a specific word for it. That's going through Sandler. Sandler called that communicating by or focusing on getting your needs met in the communication process, getting your needs met.
Right.
So did you respond in order to get your needs met?
Right. It communicates desperation. When you lean, you're basically communicating desperation, which I think a lot of people, and you can use this with your team, when you communicate with ways like, I'm always available to serve anyone you know, I'm working 24/7, I'm always here for you, I'm always, I never, those kind of comments, what's really being communicated is a desperate plea for them to fix something in your business and in your world that you need, which in this case in our business would be leads or opportunities. What I realized when I analyzed it for myself, I remember, and I didn't know it was called leaning at the time, but I remember when I talked to my clients, we talked in the past about wanting business, not needing business, and coming from a place of strength. And a lot of the people that I work with, I talk to them about when you go to a meeting, you assume that you're the best person for the job, but the job isn't about getting a mortgage. The job is about providing enough information and enough knowledge and enough direction to help those people make the right choice for themselves, whether you are it or not. And I realized that, when I said what I said to my clients, it was always, I'm honored if I get a chance to work with somebody that you refer to me. I'd be delighted to meet with them, ask them a few questions, help them answer any challenges or things that they may need. And if I'm not the right person for the job, I will give them the information and direction that will point them in the way that will best suit their needs, because I care about you as being the referral source, and my job is obviously to be the best person to talk to about what their options are, not necessarily to do a mortgage with. And I realized that as I talk to a lot of these LOs that I coach nowadays, I'm hearing a lot of them are saying the same thing. They're like, they're basically throwing themselves at the feet of these realtors. And I just was really, there was such a aha for me when I realized, man, everybody leans on these realtors, and that's why these agents are so sick and tired of talking to loan officers.
Exactly.
So
that's exactly right, man. That is. Doug, I would encourage you to bring that up to everybody that you talk to, because I hear that in so many conversations.
Yep.
And I've been there, I've done that, and I remember how it felt to put myself in that subservient role, and it sucks.
It sucks at a big league. I mean, it's awful. And so in the because I've been using this conversation over the last couple of days that I've been doing this, because I've taken this message and it's been what it's been my platform this week. And one of the LOs asked me, goes, so here's the challenge that I have. Obviously you don't want to lean on people, but how do you get realtors to just take off that facade or that mask, and how do you get them to actually engage in you when you can tell they're just so flippantly just irritated with the fact that they're even talking to you on the phone, or they're even meeting with you face to face? And I said, that's a great point. I said, that's a really interesting perspective. And I said, the only thing I can speak to is what I used, which was vulnerability. And so one of the guys chimes up and goes, what do you mean by vulnerability, Dr. Phil? and I said, all kidding aside, I know it sounds kind of hokey pokey, but I believe that in any relationship, vulnerability begets vulnerability. The more that you're vulnerable, the more that the person that you're speaking with or engaging with is going to be vulnerable, because nobody wants to take that leap first. And I said, one of the things that I told realtors was I would turn the conversation around so that the realtor had to become the one that leaned on me. And they're like, how in the hell do you do that? And I said, it was really kind of easy, and it was really kind of fun, but you have to be genuine about it. And so my conversation always started with, you know what, Mr. Realtor, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me, but I'm going to be totally transparent with you right now. I'm really just generally disappointed as a whole in the real estate industry. I've been in the business now for a while, and I can't tell you how many agents I've met with that I feel utterly are just beating the wrong drum. And what I mean by that is I've chosen to build my business through relationships, truly build my business through relationships. And every realtor I meet that says that their business is referred to them and they love getting referrals, I always ask them, well, what makes you referable? Like, give me the top 3 things that make you referable that the agent next to you in your office doesn't do, or the next to the agent in the other broker office doesn't do, and you can't get out of a box out of Home Depot, or you can't get from a discount real estate shop. Like, how do you justify your uniqueness with people? And I got to be honest with you, as I'm sitting here trying to decide, if you and I are a good fit, because I take my business very, very seriously. I'm very selective with the people I work with, because I understand that if this is a circus, the title company, the listing agent, the selling agent, the buyer, and the seller, and we're all a circus, if the end performance goes in disaster, we are all lumped together as being the clowns in the circus. And the hard part is that I struggle with it because every agent I meet falls way short of what I expect is necessary to build relationships that are referable. And as much as I'm sitting here talking to you about this, and I'm sure you're deciding whether I'm the right person to meet with to help you with your business, I just want to be upfront and honest with you that all I care about right now is deciding whether or not I'm a good fit for you and you're a good fit for me, but I don't really have any high expectations. And then
so that just kind of it addresses the elephant in the room right away, doesn't it?
And then you can look at them and go, so what is it about your business that makes you so referable? And then guaranteed, the first thing out of their mouth is a leaning statement. It's so freaking funny, because then at that point you look at them and go, you don't do shit in your business. Like, you really are struggling.
Yeah. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's an awful lot of posturing that goes on.
I'm here. It's Kristen. I just didn't want to chime in.
Oh, hey, Kristen, what's going on?
Hey, not too much.
Hello, Kristen. Kristen, how are you,
Tony?
my dear?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
So Tony, you want to tell Kristen hey, Kristen, how much of what we just talked about did you hear?
I heard Tony was just finishing up, and then you started how you should be vulnerable. So I didn't hear what Tony was frustrated with. That's kind of when I jumped in. So.
So something I read last week made me talk about this for this whole week with all my coaching calls. And do you know what the word leaning means, like leaning on a table? Do you know what it means in relationship to communication?
Well, I would think it would mean like you lean in on the person that you're talking to, so you're trying to like, I don't know how I would explain it. Well, it's like you mentioned, be vulnerable, and like you were just explaining. Is that what you mean?
Kind of, sort of. Leaning, in my definition of what that I read up on, is when you communicate with behavior and language as if you're lacking something in your life and business, and you expect others to fix it for you. So what we were talking about was, for example, I'm always here for you. I will always talk to anybody. I'm available 24/7. When you become boundaryless, which means that you have no boundaries, you have no expectations, and you're literally just throwing yourselves at the foot of the realtor, that's when you lean. And so Tony and I were talking about how do you get yourself away from that conversation and really shift it to the agent, because the agent's never really been in a position that they have to lean, because I think a lot of the times that's why agents are sick and tired of talking to lenders, is because all lenders do is lean on them. That's all they lean, they lean, and anybody would get tired of it.
Yeah.
So what I figured that I did, in back in my career, which was I always talked to the agents and made it very, very open and honest, because I was very vulnerable with them, because I most of the time agents were very, very they're very closed. They're very they put on this facade like they're bigger than that. Like they expect you to suckle at the teat of their business. Like you are their slave, or you are their employee. That's kind of how their mindset works. So one of the LOs in one of the earlier calls this week asked me, so how do you bridge that? And I said, well, I think vulnerability, and that's probably what you heard me start talking about, which was I'm really looking at you, and I'm coming from a place of I'm not even sure you're going to be a good fit, because most of the realtors that I've met are not referable. They can't articulate it, and I can. And I'm looking for that right agent who's capable of building a referable partnership with me, because I believe that at the end of everything, our clients judge us both depending on how it all goes. And if it goes sideways for one of us, it really goes sideways for both of us. And I can't afford to have that happen. And so I'm just curious, what is it about your business that makes you referable, that makes you different than the broker down the street, or the discount broker on the internet, or the for sale by owner box, or just give me 3 things that make you different or make you referable. And it is at that moment when the realtor then feels the need to lean on you.
Doug, something that's I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
No, buddy. I was taking a drink. Go ahead, brother.
One thing that struck me as you're describing this is, essentially what you're doing is you're creating you're framing the relationship in such a way that they would be more likely to be turn the tables, essentially pitching you as to why they would be a good business partner. And it's really it really just kind of boils down to the words, the words we choose. The words we choose really. Somebody said this to me earlier this week. The words we choose shape our lives.
Absolutely, they're powerful. They're extremely powerful. And the reason I'm sharing that with you guys this week is different than when I shared it with all the other people, because you guys have employees, you guys have team members, you guys have LOs who, if you're not coaching them on how to create a position of strength and let the realtors lean on you, you really are going to have a hard time battling through that barrier of getting people to refer you more consistently. And like with our support teams, you're going to have a hard time getting your clients to see the value and want to refer you. And I think it just kind of plays into the whole, whatever we say, we have to be very conscious of it, And we have to realize that when we speak, people formulate their opinions on the words that we use. And even though we're coming from a place of genuineness, like, hey, listen, I'm willing to help you out whenever you need it, that's a genuine statement, but it comes through as being very needy. And when you think about how we communicate with our clients, if we lean on them at an inappropriate time, it can actually turn people off. And the same thing with realtors, and the same thing with affiliated relationships. And so when we have like Linda, or we have Kelly, or is it Kelly? Kristen?
Kathy?
Kathy, thank you. When we have Kathy, and you have Linda, and you have Leslie, and you have other people on our teams communicating with our agents and so forth, we have to be very clear on how our teams communicate, because they are an extension of us. And the more conversations that they have, they can either create a perpetual brand, like they can help you expand your brand, or they can actually slowly start blowing out some of those candles that you've taken that's taking you a long time to light.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and sometimes I feel that way. Like when you're doing the Thor calls, before or after you have coffee. Let's say it's after you have coffee, and you're supposed to get a referral within the first 12 weeks. Sometimes I feel like when I'm calling them weekly, and hey, anything I can do to help, anything I feel like it's almost like I do become needy, and then that's a turnoff. So how do you change that message around so it's not, I'm here to help anytime, anything you need, like to make it more of a, and I thought that, I'm like, wow, like, is this just annoying as hell to get a call from me every week, and then I kind of feel like I'm saying the same thing, and it doesn't seem to work.
So here's the analogy. If you have a room full of screaming babies and you've got to calm them down, who do you go to first? Right? You go to the loudest, right?
Right.
None of us aspire to be the loudest.
I would not know that.
Tony, you're the only person on this call who knows. Or at least has studied up on it.
Oh, my Lord.
So, Kristen, just to give you a quick little backstory, Tony's got a son named Jack who literally has locked himself in their parents' bedroom that they had to call the fire department to gain access after his 2-year-old son locked himself in the bathroom or bedroom, one of the two. That gives you an idea of what Tony's life is like. So,
yeah,
it's a regular week.
Yeah, just a regular week. No, so
normal day.
But what I was saying was, instead of saying the word needy, I think the real word that we should be communicating to ourselves is I just don't want to lean. Because I think when you tell yourself you're being needy, it turns you off from having a conversation. When you say I just need to make sure I'm not leaning on people, it's kind of more of a conscious effort of saying I'm going to communicate differently. So going back to the whole baby in the room scenario, I think if you pick up the phone and you act like a crying baby, which is what every other loan officer does, you have a very short period of time or a very short window to be able to communicate something of value to that agent that really starts off by saying, hey, Kristen, you know what? You don't know me from Adam. My name is Kristen, or my name is Doug Catteray. I'm a real estate professional like you. I'm looking to find 15 minutes of your time to pick your brain on what you are doing that works in creating referrals in your team. Would that be something I can pick your brain on? And you're not calling up, you're not telling them you're a lender. Now, if they ask you, you go, yeah, but I'm honestly not calling you as a lender. I'm calling you as a professional because I'm interested in learning what you do and what works in your market. And I was hoping I could buy you a coffee in 15 minutes. You're not calling them as a loan officer. You're calling them as a professional. I'm in the real estate industry like you. I'm a real estate professional. And you're looking at ways of how you can build, how you can take some information and build a better referral business. Every realtor is going to listen to that before they listen to everything else that a loan officer calls them up and says, hey, this is so-and-so from Chase Mortgage, or hey, this is so-and-so from Wells Fargo, or Ruoff Mortgage, or whoever. I think it requires you to realize that if you call up and you are that crying baby or you're leaning on them, that's why most of the time you don't get calls back, or maybe that's why it takes 12 weeks to get a result. I just have never been a fan of leaning on people. I've been more of a fan of, I really don't know if you're a good fit for me, so let's talk. I just happen to be the one that called you first.
Right, and I'm pretty successful at getting the coffee meetings. It's getting the referral afterwards is where I feel like I'm not, where I feel like I'm starting to become kind of needy. I don't know, Tony, do you ever have that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do, but I don't focus on it, and it's because what my number one objective, and mind you, Kristen, my focus has shifted, but but the agents that I do actively stay in touch with, my only objective is to lead with value. I say I lead with value, and I don't say that I don't ask for anything in return, but I try to tap into the law of reciprocity every chance I get.
Most of the business that we
in that case, yeah, I'm sorry, Doug. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say most of the business that comes to us is because people keep us at the forefront of their mind, like they remember us, like they feel like they want to repay you. Because let's be honest, I mean, when you help somebody out, it tips the law of averages in your favor that they're going to want to repay you somehow. Either they say thank you to you and you go no problem, or you say, hey, thanks for noticing, don't keep me a secret, and you actively coach them and teach them that your willingness to help them out is unconditional. But we both are aware that in order for me to remain in this capacity to constantly help people out, I have financial realities that I need help with.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be a firefighter and save people's lives if nobody keeps replenishing your oxygen tank. And the truth is that the oxygen tank doesn't make you a firefighter, but it provides you the ability to go in and fight fires and save people's lives. Kind of the same way like this works out, where you can continue to help people and save people the way that you do it in your life, but the only way you can continue to do that is if you have a steady stream of oxygen coming into your tank. Otherwise, you're not going to last very long.
True dat.
Does that make sense?
True dat. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to me. I think I kind of fell into that MO because I never wanted to feel like I was asking for stuff without providing something of value first.
Yes. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, so just I wanted to become more valuable than other loan officers so that I would feel more comfortable asking business.
Right.
But,
so give me an example of what you provide as value. What do you mean? What are you
perfect?
Are you calling them?
Well, yes, in some cases. So I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with an agent this morning, and he was, you know, we've known each other for a while. He doesn't do a whole lot of business, but he does what he does do. He sends my way. So we were talking. He called me up, and he was asking me about agent marketing. And we started talking about what he was doing with FSBOs. So I shared with him. I just shared with him the FSBO strategy, the results in advanced FSBO strategy using agent marketing, and how to implement. Just like 10 minutes, and the light bulb went off, and he was just like, "Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do." So, you know, so in that case, it was a natural extension of the conversation. But that could be if you're, you know, you just have to identify areas where you can add value and probe around that. So, and to Doug's point, where does your business come from? How do you generate those referrals? What do you do? Do you is one of the legs of your marketing stool? Is it calling on FSBOs and expireds? Or I just and, and I always have the conversation about home benefit IQ and leverage. Leverage being one of my top business values, and just talk about leverage points in your business. Where are you getting the most leverage? So I think if I meet an agent one time, and that one conversation and maybe one follow-up conversation, there's no way that they know how valuable it is to work with me. They just don't know. So you've got to constantly drip that on. And
those are the things that you're kind of dripping on after that meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And truth be told, Kristen, the value, your value goes so far beyond closing loans on time and great service and rates and fees that are in line. That's all baseline expectation stuff. That doesn't set you apart from anybody, honestly, because there are other lenders that can do that.
Yep.
But what does set you apart is all of the non-mortgage related stuff. And the question is, for you, what is that?
Right.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
Hey Linda, how are you?
Is it Monday yet? And I've never said that in my life.
Not yet.
I have never said that in my life. This week has proven to me that when I decided to get out of processing those many moons ago, it was the correct right decision.
So guys, Bert, our processor, is out on vacation. He's been out since the middle of last week. So Linda has stepped in that role, as has Stacy at corporate. So this was a reminder of how valuable Bert has become. So,
He can never leave.
Kudos to you, Linda, for wearing two hats this week.
Well, I didn't do it perfectly, and I'm sorry about that, but we got it done.
Well, we all have to step in, right? Or step it up. Hey, Kristen, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And Doug, I don't mean to take this over, but I love sharing really just wins, big or small. So what was I'd really love to hear a win. What was a good win for you this week?
What was a good win? Well, there is a realtor that is on the listing side that we've been trying to earn business from. He's a rock star, does a ton of business, and our buyer wanted to move the closing up to November 4th, which is really going to be pushing it, and we just submitted it today for a clear to close. So it looks like we're probably going to be able to make that happen. So he is super excited. So I think that it will be definitely one that I want to have some of these conversations with, So that's one of the reasons that this is a perfect time to be talking about it, because I'm like, okay, now how do I go after him? Yeah, we did a good job, but like you said, it takes more than that. I mean, just because we did well and communicated well with him and, moved up the closing and all of that, it's going to be more than just that to be able to earn his business. So, but it's definitely an in, and he's been very impressed with us.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that would be a good one to have some of these conversations with, to try to win him over. And I've had a good success with that, you know, calling on listing agents, finding out up front if they're qualified, if I've never worked with them, if they are. You know, we just really try to go the extra mile and communicate with them so I can get a shot at meeting them afterwards and start getting some referrals from them.
Yeah.
It's been a good way to increase our business. So I guess that's just a little win for me this week.
You go, girl.
How about you?
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, a couple of things. I rolled out Freight Pros. I rolled out Home Benefit IQ to Freight Pros yesterday.
Yep.
That went well. Also got a meeting with the head of with the benefits manager of Austin Regional Clinic, which is about 2,300 employees.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello. All right. Sorry about that, guys.
Yep.
I don't know what that
I
happened.
wonder why you were being so quiet.
Yeah, so that was that. It took me about 2 months to get her to agree to meet with me.
Wow.
So got that, and
So have you had the meeting then?
no, it's on Tuesday next week.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So Tony, I'm so
And,
sorry. I missed some of what you were saying.
Well, we're just talking about our wins this week, and I rolled out Freight Pros yesterday.
Yep.
A Home Benefit IQ company. And that went really well. The HR manager and I really hit it off.
Great.
So that could be fruitful, and identified about a dozen potential buyer opportunities in the next 4 to 6 months.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I finally got a meeting with the benefits director of Austin Regional Clinic, which is, they've got 20 locations, about 2,300 employees. So
That's awesome.
that's going to be on Tuesday. And then, and Linda, I didn't mention this to you, but I got the green light from Leander ISD.
Really?
Leander, yeah.
Wow. Good job.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Leander ISD is about 5,000.
Man,
5,000.
Wow.
a lot of people. A lot of people. So hey, Chris,
Yeah.
what, when you say you were struggling getting when you say you're struggling because you feel like you're being needy,
Mhm.
why do you think that is? Like, do you not? Are these people you've never met with before, or are these people you just kind of touch base with?
Now, these would be the people that after have coffee with them, then
Yep.
you know you continue to follow up to check in and try to get a referral. So you know
Okay.
the old-fashioned Thor thing is, you know, you call for 12 weeks, and afterwards, so they know that you're
Yep.
persistent and consistent. You're going to take great care of the clients, like you follow up with
Yep.
them each week.
Yep. Yep.
That
Yep.
time. It seems like it gets stale after about 6 calls, and it's like, dang, I just keep calling, saying the same thing, asking the same thing, and then you get voicemail more and more because, you know, they probably
Right.
put you in their phone. Oh, dang, that's Kristen calling
Yep.
again. I'm not answering it,
Yep.
you know, that kind of thing.
Can I? And I can't speak to it because I never really did it. But can I give you my 2 cents worth?
Mhm.
You said it yourself. You call them up hoping to get a referral. That's what you're doing. You're not calling them up to have a relationship with them. You're not calling to have a conversation with them about anything. Because I have a hard time believing you could pick up the phone and have a conversation with your friends and feel like your friends wouldn't want to talk to you, right? I don't think there's ever been a point in time where your friends avoid you, okay?
Right.
And I have to believe that the reason that the realtors avoid you is because you've done a really good job of convincing them that you're leaning on them and that you need something from them because you don't have any other value to give. And so you go to their voicemail, one, because I think most of the realtors have nothing of value to give you, but B, I think the ones that have value to give you
struggle because they feel like you're a great person, but why are you always calling me up, leaning on me, quote unquote? And so my advice would be, instead of calling them up looking for a referral, call them up and look for a way to amplify the relationship. Look for a way to make it so that you have a friendship with these people. Make it so that when you call them up, you're finding a way to get a thank you from them. And like Tony said earlier, your greatest success is in capitalizing on that moment where they say thank you. But until then, until you get a thank you from them, you shouldn't even be asking for a referral because you've not earned it. You've not given them any reason to assume that you've earned the right to get a referral. And I think the whole 12-week class is more or less beating people into submission, I think. But I think what a lot of what we misrepresent ourselves to do is we call them up and we lean on them and we expect them to acquiesce. And after a period of time, they finally just throw their hands up in the air and go, fine, just take a lead and let's see what happens. You catch them at the right time because the blunder that they're working with has fouled something up. I don't know.
Right.
I just think when you call up the realtors, especially you, Kristen, you are the most energetic, outgoing, conversational, fun person to talk to on the telephone. I have a hard time believing people go to your voicemail or you get put in people's voicemail. Can you answer me why somebody wouldn't want to talk to you when you call them? Unless you are boxed into being a loan officer, which you're not.
Right. Give me a lead. Give me a lead.
Yeah, right. So when you call them up and you're leaning on them, of course they're going to put you into voicemail because nobody wants to be leaned on. So instead, when you pick up the phone, go, hey, this is Kristen. It's been a couple weeks, and I got to apologize. I realized something lately that I've been leaning on you, and I know that that's not fair, and I apologize for it. But if you get a second, I'd love to talk to you. From a business owner to business owner, I have a question about the real estate industry. I was hoping I could bend you around. Do you think you might get a call back then? And if you were a friend to them and they were in need, you'd want to help them out, right? And I can't imagine anybody that knows you doesn't want to talk to you when it isn't just mortgage related. I'm more apt to talk to my friends than they are to talk to somebody soliciting business from me. So be more of a friend to these people. And stop asking for business. I mean, you ask at the right time. When the moment in the relationship occurs, when they say thank you or they acknowledge something you've done, that's the moment to ask. That's the moment when the law of reciprocity kicks in. That's the moment when you become a giver with a request, as opposed to just a taker, which is when you call them up, that's all you're being is a taker. You might find better success rates if you switched up your presentation, and you'd find a lot more success rate if you just stop in your head going, I got to call them up looking for a referral. You don't call them up looking for a referral. You call them up going, how do I make their day better by talking to me? I don't know. Sounds kind of hokey. Sounds kind of like Dr. Phil, but it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Tony, what do you think?
I'll give that a shot. And I'm not, it's not like I'm calling me like, hey, I need a lead. Tommy, I need a lead. You need to call me back with a lead. I mean, it's not like that, No,
but your mindset, but your mindset is that, right?
Yeah.
And if you ask yourself how many,
I want them to know that, my follow-up's going to be very good and very consistent. My communication's going to be awesome. So I'm going to.
So do you tell them that on the voicemail?
Keep in touch. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I try to, switch it up a little bit. So.
Okay.
And when I get them on the phone, it's just, how are things going? But I do keep it, I guess, probably a bit more business related. So I just know how I am.
Which is okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't like to chit-chat.
Okay.
When people call me and get me on the phone, I'm just not a big chit-chatter about, what are you doing this weekend? It's like, okay, I'll take 30 seconds and that's it. Let's move on. I don't want to just...
So what else are you going to talk to a realtor that you're trying to build a relationship with? What are you going to talk to an agent to keep them on the phone?
Yeah, probably what they're doing this weekend.
Wow. Is it like Carl says? Is it work or is it pleasure?
Yeah, right.
You can have a lot of meaningful. Right. You can have a lot of meaningful conversations with people when you get them out on your pontoon boat and you go for a tour around the lake, right? You have a lot of fun. You talk. But you're not talking about work the entire time. You're not talking about loans. You're talking about life and how you guys have 100 other things that make you you besides just writing loans and selling real estate. That's the part that you got to tap into. That's the part where if you can get people to talk about that, you're more likely to get them on the phone more often because they're going to want to talk to you. They're going to enjoy talking to you. You're going to be a reprieve from their day. And when that happens and it's done consistently, guess what happens? If I'm going to have to deal with a lender, I might as well deal with a lender I like.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So just a strategy that might change it up a little bit.
Can I ask you a real quick question? Do you?
Sure.
I'm not. This isn't meant to be a leading question. I have felt this way. I'm wondering if sometimes when you make those calls, if you feel like a pest.
Yeah, I guess that's probably similar to, it's like, well, do you just sound needy calling every week, Yeah. Especially if it's, or maybe they answer the first few times and then you just go into voicemail every week,
Yeah.
But the key is the first couple times they answer. After that, you kind of lost them. So the first couple times you get somebody to answer, those are your doors of opportunity where you've got to be like, all right, you know what? I got to find something else to talk about besides just being a loan officer. Otherwise, by the third call, they're not going to want to talk to me.
They're not going to talk, yeah. Yep.
And you're not a very off-putting person. You don't have an off-putting personality. So the fact that you go to voicemail has less to do with them and more to do with you not being as real as you should be with them. I don't know. That's food for thought, I guess.
Yep. No, great. Great tips, guys. Thank you.
It's such a it's such a paradigm shift to go from a position of feeling like you're pestering people for business to go to a position of I really am just looking for a handful of people that I love working with that we can partner up for to work towards world domination.
Well, and I think too, just speaking of realtors, there's obviously lots of different parties to call on, Tony, and you're finding that by what you're doing, which I think is a great niche. But I think from a realtor perspective, there's very few realtors that look at their business that way. And it's hard to shift them from, like you were saying earlier, just being a vendor, just getting this deal done versus I need to surround myself with, a partner who's going to work side by side with me and help me to grow my business and vice versa. That's really going to complement what I'm doing and help me be successful. They just don't, it's you're as good as your last deal, and that's pretty much it. And even then, if you do an amazing job, doesn't mean you're going to get the next one. There's just not a lot of that that mentality out there.
Very little loyalty.
But there's very little loyalty. But there are agents out there who, if you speak to them, it resonates. There's a lot of people that got into this business for the right reasons, but there isn't any real clear modeling that needs to be done to help these agents really develop a sense of identity and a really strong sense of value with their clients. The problem is that everybody gravitates towards the newest shiny object that gets them all excited about their business. The truth is that if you don't have the ability to communicate, no shiny object is going to make you last long. And maybe it's done by design, I don't know. But at the end of the day, your greatest strength is your ability to communicate the stuff and understand that it's going to fall on deaf ears 95% of the time.
Right.
5%, I believe in your marketplace, there are 5%, or let's say out of 100 agents, there are 5 agents out of 100 that really will gravitate to the way you do business. They just don't know you exist yet. So like Scott says, you just got to keep working through, you got to keep working through all the no's
but here's the power in what we said earlier. I don't want them saying no to you. The only way you're going to get through 95 agents to find the 5 good ones is to be the one that says no to the bad ones before they even look at you sideways. That's why you tell them, listen, I don't believe most of the agents in our industry are capable of building a referral business like I have. So I'm going to interview you like you're interviewing me, but there's a good chance that within 15 minutes, I'm already going to decide that you're not really somebody I want to hang out with.
Mhm.
That's why that statement in the beginning of vulnerability gets them to start at least putting down their facade so you can get to the real meat of, is this somebody I want to pick up the phone and go, hey, how was it last weekend? I heard you were out on the lake. So were we. I mean, when you find commonalities, when you find things, that's why you frogs people, is to find that rapport with them. And once you find that and you continue to build on that, I mean, it takes work, but you're not going to get hung up on. Or you're not going to go right to voicemail every time you call.
Right, right.
It's really easy. It's really easy to get to put a governor on, or to not be completely transparent. And Doug, I think you said it earlier, being vulnerable. It's really easy to not do that.
Yep.
Because of the fear that we're going to be rejected in some form or fashion. My thought process really has turned. There are 11 or 12,000 agents in the Austin area, and I figured we could. I can find 10 that do good business that I really want to hang out with.
Yep.
That won't throw me under the bus. And Doug, you said, I don't remember exactly how you put it, but I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. One of the questions that I ask an agent now is I'm just transparent. I say, look, I don't want to work with everybody, and honestly, I need to know what you're like to work with under pressure, because at some point a deal is going to go sideways that none of us is going to have any control over. How are you going to handle that? Most agents throw the lender under the bus or the title company.
Managing people's fears and expectations. Realtors do a horrible job at it. That's why they get so pissed off every time something doesn't go flawlessly, because they set improper expectations. Remember how I said earlier about the whole communication, and are you a great you consult, you negotiate? That managing fears and expectations, you can literally build an entire campaign with a realtor over a 12-week period, simply talking about the 3 core values of communication as it relates to client experience. And if the agent that you're talking to doesn't get it, or doesn't want to learn about it, or doesn't buy into that mindset, or already do it, then you already have your answer. So you can look at them and go, you know what, I just don't think we're a good fit. If you ever decide that you want to build your business through a relationship model, please look me up, and I'll see if I have any openings. And I know that sounds arrogant and conceited some ways, but when you start off by being vulnerable, you're really protecting something of significant value to you. It's priceless, because think about how many years you guys have put into this blood, sweat, and tears trying to build this business up, and how valuable every loan is. Why in God's green earth would you go to a realtor thinking that they're going to provide you a quality lead when their business isn't even quality?
Right.
Most of them probably don't even balance the checkbook. So why would you bank your financial future on their business?
No thanks.
If every realtor showed up to you with a W-2, would you take every realtor that showed up with a W-2 showing $10 all the way up to $1 million? Or would you try to find those realtors that work, because I don't want to deal with an agent that makes $1 million a year, because it's all probably, way too big for my britches. But somebody that makes anywhere between $150 and $350 in real estate would be a great agent to work with. I mean, that's what you're trying to figure out when you're trying to break through that facade that they put on. And I always love just saying, listen, I don't necessarily want to work with every agent. I don't even know if I'm going to be helpful for you. Because to be honest, if you do your business like I think you do, I'm not going to be of value. you're going to get pissed off at me as soon as something goes sideways, and I don't want to be a part of that because you don't know how to manage expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the circus is over, and I'm going to get blamed for being one of the clowns in the circus, and I don't want to be a part of it.
That's a fun conversation to have, Doug. That really is.
Oh,
it's so empowering.
It is.
It's so empowering when you basically, when you say, look, I don't think we're going to be a good fit. When you take the cookie away, they start pitching you on why they're a good fit. It's just,
right.
It's hilarious.
They start leaning on you. They start leaning on you, and now they're the ones that become needy. They're the ones that really show their true colors. And the truth is that when you really start to see realtors for who they are, they're just as desperate as anybody else. And only the ones that come to you and go, yeah, you know what, I'm not that great at building a referral business, but I can't stand buying Zillow leads every month. Man, that's the perfect agent to buy into it.
That's right. Yeah, I love that.
So you're right. The conversation is fun, and I'll tell you, it makes talking to 100 realtors and getting no's from 95 of them a lot easier to swallow when you go, yeah, you know what, I think you're a good person. I just don't think our businesses are in alignment with one another. Best of luck to you, and if you ever decide that you want to grow it a different way and you want some help, I'd love to show you how it's done. Come to my office with a loan, and we'll work it out, and I'll show you how good of a job we do. But you have to take my lead and listen to the way we do it.
You almost said the right.
I'm a relationship amplifier, and this is how my business is built.
I like that, relationship amplifier.
That's what you guys are. You know, at the core of it, you guys really are nothing more than relationship amplifiers. People are better for knowing you, and whoever they refer to you, you make them look really good because you take care of the people that they stake their reputation on. Hence, the triangle of trust. Hence, you are a relationship amplifier. Why you laugh, Tony?
I love it. I love that. It's just human psychology, right?
It is.
And the better you understand how people are, just human nature, the easier it is to implement this stuff. Because it's not. I mean, it's not easy to have a conversation with someone and say, look, it's okay if it's okay. You know, can I ask a favor? If you don't think we're a good fit, would you tell me? And is it okay if I tell you the same?
Right. It's called the permission.
It's not
to
easy to have that.
And if you get that out of the way before you even talk about anything, everybody's defenses and everybody's facades get reduced a little bit. Because now they're not waiting for you to pitch them. Maybe in their mind they've already said, I'm not going to work with you, I'm just here for the free lunch. Or maybe they said, well, maybe you got something of value to say. But there's a few of them there that are going to go, oh, that's okay, I've never heard that before. And then as you dig into that relationship, you can start showcasing the things that you're telling them. These are the same techniques that they could give to their clients. I mean, the whole idea on this is the way you get an agent to look at you is the exact same way you can get a prospective client to look at you as well. And hence, if they buy into it, they've already bought into the system that helps them become better realtors in their own business. That's the unique part about this whole thing, is it covers every angle.
Interesting. Easy to. It all makes perfect sense when we're talking about it. The actual execution of it that takes.
The only difference is that we spend too much time between our ears, and we don't spend enough time in our heart. And you guys know as well as I do that when you speak like that from the heart, you always succeed. We put too much emphasis on what happens between our ears, that we talk ourselves out of it, or we become inconsistent, or we don't become as intentional, and we lose sight of really what this is about, and that is being genuine relationship amplifiers. I mean, your goal is not to get a mortgage. Your goal is to get them so in love with you because you make them look good that they're addicted to that every time they refer you a client. That's why they're going to refer you. It's because every time you do, you make them look freaking awesome. And who wouldn't want that?
Yep.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to feel good. So, guys, I'm sorry. I'm on my way to go pick up my daughter from school. I have my girls this weekend, so I'm gonna have to cut the call short. I did record it, and as soon as I get back to the office on Monday, I'll send you guys out the replay if you guys think it's valuable. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everybody. This was a good call today. I thank you for your vulnerability.
Me too.
You guys.
Yeah. Awesome, awesome.
Appreciate it.
Awesome, guys.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend with your families and
Thanks,
friends.
guys.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. See you guys.
Doug, see you, Chris.
Bye.
I'll
See you,
give
Tony.
you a call, Linda. See you, Kristen. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.